Hey folks, thank you for hopping on to another Friday Night Live here. And please check in on the comments if you're here now or if you stop by after a while. Weather update, got hot again. Real hot, real dry. Looks like going to be close to 100. Heat index factored in and all that kind of stuff here for the coming week. But we're getting lows in the 60s overnight. So we are able to pull cool air in with the window fans. So it's not been too bad, really. The humidity has been down, which has made being outside quite a bit more bearable on the job site and out here on the farm. So I got quite a bit to catch you guys up on. Before I get too far afield, though, let you know about a class and a gathering coming up. Foraging class. I had so much demand and so many responses to the last one that I added another because I had a lot of people reach out and they said, I want to do it. I'm very interested, but they were already booked up on that date. So I tossed one on for August 31st. That's a Saturday. We'll do another one here on the farm in West Knox County. So if you would like to come out for, we usually do about 2 hours, 2.5 hours. We'll get started around 11 a.m. Walk around the farm, various edges, a few different little microclimates, and there will be more things than you'll be able to take notes on that I'll be able to show you this time of year. Just reach out to me, strongrootsresources@gmail.com, and we'll get together and we'll do it. It's $20 a person. Bring your kids if you want. I don't ever really charge anything for kids, so bring a friend, bring a wife, bring a husband, bring a coworker. I had folks reach out after a class I did in Rogersville back in, I think it was mid-June, and a lady who attended that class, and she got with me and she said, hey, can a bunch of my coworkers come over like on a weekday, and can you do a class for us? Can we schedule that? And I said, absolutely. So we just did that just this on Monday. She came out here, I think it's about 6 or 7 people, and they came out here on their lunch break. And so for about 90 minutes, we walked around the farm. I showed them quite a few things, showed them the gardens and the food forest as we wrapped it all up, answered a bunch of questions, sent them with some elderberry and some other odds and ends around here because everything's abundant. So I got that shared around. And they were asking me how I built my, how I do the ground cover for all the gardens and the food forest and everything. And I said, well, everything starts with cardboard. And I said, it's usually readily available. I said, but I'm always looking for new sources of cardboard. Well, these folks work for the corporate office of the TVA credit union, which is actually the bank that I use for the business. And she said, well, we've got cardboard. And I said, well, can I come pick it up sometime? Because I can never get enough. There's always a need for it, whether it's here, whether it's on somebody else's job site. So we set a time and I went out there. Actually, it was the next day. And because this is a campus, so it's kind of secure and everything. So they kind of need to coordinate it a little bit. So we got all that coordinated. I went out there and picked up a bunch. And sounds like we'll be able to do a regular thing with that. So they're happy because they get to redirect part of their waste stream to something, that's closing that loop. And I'm happy because I always need cardboard. Now, I have found out, it seems kind of silly. Of course, you can buy cardboard. And you actually can through like Granger.com and a couple of others, like Packaging Solutions. There's a lot of places where you can buy just corrugated sheets of cardboard, which is very appealing to me. And that may be the route that I go for certain projects, especially ones that I'm bidding, because there's a lot of time taken in obtaining cardboard, picking it up, flattening the boxes, opening up, pulling off tape, pulling off staples. So you factor all that in, I might do just as well to buy sheets, and you can get them in all kinds of different sizes. So I might do that. I am thinking about it. I've got it bookmarked, and I am thinking about it, especially for a couple of upcoming installations that I'm going to be putting together for some folks. So, so class on the 31st. Holler at me if you'd like to come out to that. We cover wild edible and medicinal plants. And you'll also get a whole bunch of other unsolicited information in terms of various uses of other plants, trees, if we're talking fiber, if we're talking carving, if we're talking building, firewood, whatever the case may be. When I know something about a tree or a plant, I can't help but share just about everything that I know about it. And I'll riff off that just a little bit more when we start talking about books here in a little bit. The other thing coming up, September 8th, that is a Sunday. It's a Sunday after Labor Day. So we're not doing it Labor Day weekend, but the following. We're having our quarterly open house gathering, barter, swap meet, Homesteaders Alliance, whatever you want to call it, out here on our farm in Knox County. We will be doing that from about noon to 4. And that is donation based. We will have refreshments, we'll have drinks and snacks. This is a networking opportunity. This is, you can come in here and you can swap stuff if you would like. It's whatever serves the community. We just kind of open it up. We always do a tour. I always teach a little bit while people are here. And then we kind of reserve, the last couple of hours for people to mingle and talk and find their others. So we've got that on the calendar. I've got about 5 or 6 people are already RSVP'd on that. I sent it out last week on the mailing list. I'll send out a reminder and keep trying to, remember to share it across the Facebook and all those kind of different places. So you guys let me know, strongrootsresources@gmail.com if you'd like to come out to that. Another cool thing that I've kind of got going on that I got sort of wrapped up and official as of last week is a partnership with a ecological landscape marketing service called ThriveLot. I had one customer from them previously from last year, which was great. And she's a wonderful lady and I've enjoyed working with her. And then this year they decided to rework their model significantly. Over the wintertime, they sent out questionnaires to all of their installers and they were basically asking, hey, what do you guys really need from us? Well, everybody who is an installer, a designer, what we really need is we need leads. We need marketing assistance because this is the marketing and the advertising is always falls to the bottom of the list, especially those of us, which is most of us, who are also maintaining our own properties, doing our own projects outside of what earns our income. So ThriveLot, which is actually based here in Knoxville, which is nice. These guys are here, and the 2 guys I've been in discussions with we have met face to face. They have been up here to the farm, so that has been really important to me that we are, it's a legitimate face to face relationship. So they went back to the drawing board and they worked out a system where they put their efforts into simply finding leads. So they provide the educational posts, the engagement posts, all the different social media stuff. And then each installer kind of sets an ideal income number for a year. And then they will work to generate enough leads to help that installer meet that goal. And they sent me my first lead a couple of weeks ago. And for a lady who's out in Clinton, Tennessee, which is about 30 minutes from me. And I was out there, today's Friday, I was out there yesterday, met her, and we'll be, putting together some projects for her. So far, so good. I'm really happy with that. This is a nice thing to kind of have off my plate. So, they have a set, like I know ahead of time how much paying for that lead will cost, which is nominal, in my opinion, more than fair. And then from that point on, I'm just, all the communication is between me and the customer. So ThriveLot, they get their fee for doing their end of things. And then I pick it up and I go from there, which is simple, which I like. Because they do have a platform where previously you were kind of working with their platform. And while it was helpful and beneficial and had things that serve the installers in terms of like bidding projects and stuff like that, plant lists, all kinds of things. In other ways, it could add a layer of complexity, especially for those who have been doing this for a while and kind of already had our own system figured out. So that was one of the things that they realized. People don't really need that. They don't need the tools of the platform so much. They need leads to installations, and then can rock and roll from there. So yeah, I'll keep you guys updated on this project. She's a very cool lady. I will make sure I obtain her permission before I share photos or anything like that. Because I think she's actually got a quiet. She's not really like a big social media person, but her property is already beautifully designed because she has certifications and she's done all this. But she's older now and she wants to swap out some things, improve some things, and try to reduce the maintenance just a little bit more. So looking forward to taking on that project. It looks like I will have some kind of a little bit of end of summer work, some wintertime work, and then some spring work, which will be nice. So I won't have that springtime rush of everything has to happen all at once, because that stresses me out. I'm going to make a quick note here before I forget something I may want to talk about if we get to it. We'll see. Hey, Digger, thank you for dropping in. It's good to virtually see you. So yeah, so that's Thrive Lot. So if you are listening to this, if you are an ecological landscaper, a permaculture person, any of those things, if you're into edible landscape design, regardless of where you are in the US, you can reach out to Thrive Lot and you can get on board with them. This is probably something I would not have reached out to myself, because this is one of those times where I can be, surprise, surprise, so fiercely independent that it's hard to ask for help sometimes. But I actually met the guys who ran this separately through a friend, basically, not through their website. They didn't find me. They didn't try to solicit me or anything like that. We met like normal people, which allowed me to get a positive impression right away, instead of being kind of sketchy of like, this is, how do I know this is not like some multi-level marketing pyramid scheme kind of thing? And it's not. It's most definitely not. It's a lead generation company. So but I can be suspicious. So that's worked out. And hoping to get, maybe a couple more of these, at least kind of holding a spot on the calendar for the rest of the year. Howdy, Jamie. Good to have you. Good to have you. Hope you guys are having an excellent Friday. So that's Thrive Lot. The other really cool thing that I have to announce is that I am a member of the Expert Council over on the Survival Podcast with Jack Spirko. So 2 or 3 weeks ago now, I was out on my dump run, my monthly run over to the Inconvenience Center, and I was listening to TSP, and it was a Thursday, and so I was listening to the Thursday Expert Council show. And Jack was putting out the call for new council members. He kind of rotates through people every few years. Some people, leave or go on to other things, or there's just not as much engagement with what they have to offer. And so he was looking for new people to add. And I thought, well, why not? So I went back to my desk that night, thought it through, and sent him a sample audio recording and a write-up as to how I envisioned a foraging segment could work on an audio podcast. And he jumped on it. He liked it. He accepted it. And my first segment was published yesterday. So it's, I think I threw it in the notes, but it's the newest Expert Council segment, where I answered a question and expanded upon edible tree leaves, which is kind of a funny thing to think about. We don't usually think about eating tree leaves, but there are tree leaves that that us humans can consume at the correct time. Make sure you listen to it. If you're not listening to the show, subscribe to that show. Survival Podcast is one of the big reasons why I'm at where I'm at today. I'm not sure that I would have pursued going off grid, leaving a job and starting my own business, and having the level of independence and personal responsibility that I do at this point in my life. One, if I hadn't listened, and then, of course, had I not decided to listen and follow quite a bit of Jack's advice. So, very grateful to him. Great dude. He did tell me, he said he had to boost the volume, had to boost the gain on the segment that I sent in, because I have just been using the embedded mic on this computer, which apparently was kind of soft. So I have ordered a podcast mic, and we'll have that in a few days, and we'll see if I can get some better quality that way. I think because I'm using just a sound recording program on the computer, guys. I'm not an audio guy. I think this works, like the live stream works pretty well because StreamYard has those tools kind of embedded in it, and so it brings it up to a reasonable volume. So I'm gonna put that mic to work, and let's see if we can get the audio just a little bit better. And so I'm gonna be providing. I told him I would go ahead, excuse me, and provide a weekly segment. I'm just going to pick something that is in season for much of the U.S. It'll be accessible to as many people as possible in the listening audience. Talk about it, kind of value add that a little bit. And then I'm also writing a blog post on my website. So there will be an accompanying blog post with some photos and a few more links and things. So if people want to follow over to that, they can see, because that's helpful. And I'm going to provide that weekly, and that way he'll kind of have something in the can, whether a question comes in or not. But if you guys have foraging questions, send them over to Jack. Follow that link. He's got a little, he has some guidelines for submissions, so he can identify them quickly and not have to wade through a bunch of email. But yeah, foraging questions, and that'll challenge me. That'll expand my skill set, my knowledge set. I'm pretty honed in on southeastern United States, but I could get some challenges from people, on the West Coast or the Southwest or things like that. So you guys let me know, and as always, feedback is welcome. I am working to be clear. Like I recorded this segment about 5 times before I was happy with it, because I was kind of reading it off the screen, but also adding in a little bit of not so many that was for sure, but just trying to make it sound good. We want these things to sound conversational. We don't want them to sound like we're in a flippin' lecture hall where I'm just going to zone out. Like if I'm boring me, then I'm boring you guys too, and that's the last thing that I want. So I want to keep it engaging. Always happy to get feedback. I'm a little better at accepting feedback than I used to be. So just always, onwards and upwards with that kind of thing. Let's see here. On my notes, I wrote bathtub. And I tell you what, one of the things that I have missed since being, we actually got rid of the bathtub a long time ago, even at the old house. We switched out an old clawfoot bathtub for a walk-in shower, so we didn't have the big step into the bathtub to make things a little bit easier on Angel. So I haven't had a bathtub in a long time. And because I work as hard as I do, I train as hard as I do with the weights and with jiu-jitsu, it would just be nice to be able to soak sometimes. So I decided we're getting a bathtub. And I've had one of these Rubbermaid big, I guess technically they're like a watering trough, although you could use them for aquaponics or all kinds of stuff. But it's pretty big. It's big enough to sit in and kick your legs out. And I just kind of had it off to the side for a while. But then I realized I've got an extra propane water heater sitting out here by my wash sink. It's actually the original one that we had that it leaked. So it became the outside propane water heater for like doing dishes outside and that sort of thing. And I epoxied the leak, and it's better, but still leaks a little bit, so it doesn't get to stay inside. Outside, who cares? And I am going to fill a propane tank, and I'm going to be able to have a bathtub where I can soak with Epsom salts, or I can have an oatmeal bath for when I get into the poison ivy. So this is feeling mighty luxurious, and I'll make sure you guys know how awesome the bathtub is when I get it in service. I'm going to get and it's still too hot. I mean, like I said, this is one of those things, like I might be able to do this after dark, after getting home from class. It's definitely going to be more of a fall thing. So planning to get that in service this weekend. Just got to get a tank filled, and we'll be good to rock and roll. Oh, let's see. So the biggest news is that I bought a bunch of books. So if you guys didn't already know this, I've got a little bit of a book problem. I really like having a library. You guys may have also noticed that the internet sucks now. Just doing searches suck. It's terrible. Everything is crap. Used to, you would search a topic and you would get dozens of pages, and even in each page were new results. And now it's not. You jump to page 5 and it's the same shit as on page 1. And it doesn't matter what search engine you use. It doesn't matter if you use one of the alternates like pre-search or something that's not based on Google, and it's just terrible. Everything is covered up with ads. Everything has pop-ups on it, even if you use ad blockers. Everything wants you to sign up for a damn mailing list, and it's just so frustrating. So I continue to buy books, and I always kind of figured, if the internet takes a dump for real, I'll be able to access most of what I need to run a homestead, to help solve problems for people and that sort of thing. And if I ever look back and wonder why I don't have a big fat retirement savings account, it's not going to be because I bought expensive vehicles or even too many tools. It's going to be because I bought books. Because I spent about $300 on books a few days ago, and they've been starting to roll in from the mail carrier. But they were expensive books because they were ones that I've been sitting on for a long, long time. So I'm going to show you. So let's see here. The Mama Jamma of permaculture books. I'm not exactly ashamed to say that I have only just now recently obtained a nice, very nice hardback edition of Bill Molson's Permaculture Designer's Manual. I have had the PDF forever, and I look at it, pull it up frequently. It's available on archive.org. The book is out of print. There's not very many of these left. It's also very hard to get a hold of a hardback edition. So Tim says it's a dense book. It is. It's technical. If you need to solve a technical question, this is the book to refer to. I was super pleased to find this on eBay for $100. A lot of times they're $150 and $175 or more. I've even seen them as high as $250. And a lot of times they would be in bad shape, and they would be a softbound copy. So I was stoked to find this, and I was in a position where I could spend the money and not really feel like I shouldn't, if that makes sense. So I got it, and it's great. This is the book. When we really need details, we need to be able to run numbers, when we need to be able to run formulas on stuff, this is it. And I thought, so I started with this book, found it on eBay, and I'm like, there's $100. Let's just keep going. This is a very good companion book, Introduction to Permaculture. Bill also wrote this, and this is thin, but that is okay. And this is your 101. And a little bit less technical, but I mean, not really. It still lets you dig into the relevant details as needed. So I was very happy. I think this one was about $35. And of course, I've been practically carrying these around since I got them, and just sitting in the shade looking at them. And this has been a good time of year to have my joy of this design science to be kind of re-immersed in it, because it's this is, for a lot of us, this is the time of year where we start feeling just a little bit of burnout when it's hot, but the days are so long, you still feel like you should still be doing stuff even at almost 9 p.m. So this has been nice to have. The next one I grabbed is this guy. This is based upon the tenets of Korean natural farming. And this was suggested to me by Blake at Tennessee Mountain Farm. This is what he found, and this is what had him start converting his family farm from a conventional chicken operation to a fully regenerative model. Starting kind of with the way he keeps the pigs. He does the deep bedding method with his pigs, and this is another technical manual. So this is one of those things where, like, normally if I needed to grab like a parts list for building certain kinds of compost systems, or if I needed to identify elements in seawater, it's in here. So this was $55. It's okay. This is most definitely an investment. Between Bill's book and this is the model that I am following for this farm. And we're working our way in that direction. Small, slow solutions, right, guys? So, yeah, Tim says his was 195. Yeah, I got lucky. I don't know if this was somebody. I think this was a like a private seller, not like thrift books or something like that. But you know, maybe they didn't really know what they had. Maybe they just really needed to offload this book, so they marked it less than everybody else. But I just couldn't pass that up at all. Since I do not do well in a classroom setting, this is what I have to do. I have to be able to sit with books in my own time when I'm in the right mood, preferably somewhere under a shady tree with a glass of iced tea and study. Because I can't do classrooms. I have tried, and I just can't. And I can't even really do webinars, guys. I mean, there's a lot of good ones out there, and I've got some thoughts about putting some together for foraging. And I'm glad people can learn that way. Lots of benefit to that. My brain works where I solve problems while I'm moving and doing other tasks. That's just, or as I'm falling asleep. That's my secret weapon. I have figured a lot of stuff out 5 minutes before falling asleep. What else we got? We're still going. Still got books. But the post office has probably hated me this week. But sorry, guys. It's your job. This is one of Joel Salatin's books. This is from 2013. This is called Fields of Farmers. Joel wrote this. The subtitle is Interning, Mentoring, Partnering, and Germinating. Joel wrote this as a response to people who are quite a few. So people who are getting older on the farm and trying to figure out what the next generation looks like if they don't have children, or if they don't have children who want to inherit the farm, or if they have children who want to turn the farm into a subdivision. He wrote it for young people who are looking to partner with an older farmer to learn from. So it's how to have these conversations. There's a lot of practical information. I'm actually a couple chapters into this. And, you know, he covers mindset, wages, spirit, the nuts and the bolts, housing, accessing land, germinating new farmers. This book isn't that old. It came out in 2013, so this is still going to be pretty relevant today. You know, some of his books, they came out in the 90s, and they're still relevant. Just maybe some of the numbers are going to be a little bit different in terms of cost. But this is a really thoughtful book, and is addressing a question that a lot of us homesteaders kind of gloss over. It's hard to think about the future sometimes, but this is something I have to think about too, because we don't have kids. And it is important to me that I be figuring out what my old age looks like and what this farm looks like when I am old and or dead. So this is part of addressing that, and also hopefully helping my other clients and customers who have the same questions. Joel has an excellent conversational writing style, and it just feels good to read his work. It just always feels encouraging, just like listening to him speak at these festivals and whatnot. It's always uplifting. And one of the aspects that Joel, one of the criticisms that he really goes after is this thought that farming is not honorable work. And there has been a big push. And I think this is changing, but in his time, as he was seeing in the 80s and 90s, that no teacher, no instructor in public school was encouraging kids to become farmers. It was seen as very poverty mindset kind of thing, and he really works to shift that that assumption. He sees no reason why farmers can't enjoy basically a white collar wage, and I agree. So, and so he presents a bunch of different ways of achieving that in all of his books. That's always his bottom line. We have to make money doing this. We have to be comfortable. We can't be scraping by and miserable or working 2 or 3 other offsite jobs to try to fund the farm. That's not sustainable at all. And then because I have a thing for field guides, especially older ones, as a forager, I really needed to have Yule Gibbons books accessible. So these are his 2 most famous ones. So Stalking the Wild Asparagus and Stalking the Healthful Herbs. If you can still find them, find the field guide editions. They're a little bit thinner. You can drop them down in a cargo pants pocket if you'd like. So these have drawings, not color photos, but his narrative is so fun and uplifting to read. He's just, this guy was a naturalist. These books were written mostly in the 60s, I think, and he's actually got several. Stalking the Good Life, Stalking the Blue-Eyed Scallop, which is all about seafood, and the Beachcomber's Handbook, which that sounds like something my mom would like. So he has this way of, he brings in aspects of botany, indigenous wisdom, just the complexities. He has a way of explaining the complexities of the natural world, where it's, it's like you were there. It's like I would have loved to have gone on walks with this guy. And the way I feel and envision things when I read his books, because I've borrowed these books many times over and read them from the library. I just did not have my own copies. I really like, I want to bring that kind of energy to the classes that I lead as well. So I got these to kind of help me improve the way I speak with my students and engage with them. So I got those, but wait, there's more. People ask all the time, what kind of field guides do you like? The Peterson guides are really, really worth it, as are the Audubon guides. The Audubon guides are a little bit weird to understand how to use because they've got like different sections and the numbers are kind of weird, but the Peterson guides are just straight up. So Field Guide to Wildflowers. And this one has drawings, but the other 2 have color photos. Edible Wild Plants and Eastern and Central Medicinal Plants. And these 2 have color photos. And they're pretty good. And these books are still, you can get these on eBay for, $8 to $12, and they're well worth it. So these have added to the foraging shelf, and again, kind of, they fit in a cargo pant pocket. So these will accompany my the books by Sam Thayer, where his field guide it is my go-to. And when I'm only going to carry one book, that's the one I carry, because it covers everything that I'm going to encounter out here. And then these kind of accompany, and I can compare and contrast the information in both of those. So excellent books, still readily available. The older editions are going to be a little bit less expensive, but there's plenty of them on eBay. I just got on there and I just started clicking add to cart, and there we went. I think I've got 2 or 3 more still awaiting. I think, or maybe what I got today was the last of them. I am curious. I'm going to double check my orders real quick. I've got one still on the way on mushrooms, because I actually do not have a really good mushroom book of all things. And I think that's a Peterson guide as well. And then the last one that I just kind of came across when, eBay's like, hey, while you're looking, you may find this of interest. Because I really don't have anything like this. And I've always been into prepping, and I've always been into thinking about a post-industrial civilization kind of world. Like, not really Mad Max, but what would things look like if we had to rebuild things? So if we had, like a giant population decrease that changed the way industry worked, if oil and petroleum based materials and fuels became either scarce or so expensive it didn't make sense to use them anymore, what would that look like? And so there's this book out there by Lewis Dartnell called The Knowledge: How to Rebuild Civilization in the Aftermath of a Cataclysm. Now, I've never borrowed this book from the library. Normally I do. That's kind of my thing. To be fair, I often will borrow a book first and read it, or at least, flip through it, and then decide if I want to purchase a copy or not. But this one, I think it was like $5. So I just jumped on it. I was like, it sounds interesting. And this is kind of a combination. I'm just going to kind of check the table of contents here. This is a combination of what post-industrial civilization could look like. And it's kind of like, maybe do we go back to pedal power and steam engines and basically things that don't take plastic components. I think we'd all be doing a whole lot more walking and carts and maybe, biofuels like biodiesel or like what they call it, like French fry trucks, French fry oil, that kind of thing. And even then that kind of stuff will eventually run out. So table of contents covers the end of the world as we know it, the grace period, agriculture, food and clothing, substances, materials, medicine, power to the people, transport, communication, advanced chemistry, time and place, and the greatest invention. So I am actually really looking forward to digging into this further. It looks like it covers a lot of medical, like here's how they build a blast furnace for smelting iron. So I think it'll be, I'm not saying we're going to see this. I mean, none of us know what the future holds, of course, but wouldn't it be good to know? Wouldn't it be good to know some of this stuff if we really needed to? How to, I don't know. I mean, what if we needed to figure out how to make paper again? Things that are gonna biodegrade, and you think about how many things would be lost if we can't keep spaces climate controlled. We're talking about a guy here who loves books, and the bulk of my books reside in a building that is not climate controlled at all, so they are subject to some extremes. So that's something to think about. How do we take care of stuff like that if we can't control, moisture levels and, how sunlight degrade things? I actually ended up putting a shade tarp over my office portion of the shed because I noticed that a lot of the binding on my books on this one shelf especially were fading, because the way the angle of the western sun comes in just bears down on this one corner shelf that I'm pointing at that you guys can't see. And I was like, crap, my books are fading. Sunlight's hard on things. UV is very, very hard on things. So I had this shade tarp hanging around that was given to me. I wasn't really using it for anything. And it's weighted. It's got rods that go through it. So we tied it off and pulled it up and it just kind of hangs out on the roof. And I wish I'd done that a little bit sooner, but at least I did it. We'll see, and we'll see how long that shade tarp lasts too, because UV gets everything eventually. So yeah, guys, I went on a book spree. So, if you hear about me eating beans and weenies at some point, it's because I spent my money on books instead of food. But I have a thing for knowledge, and I have a thing for practical information. And every book that I buy is, they're all nonfiction. My fiction is maybe is 1 4-foot shelf worth. Everything, and even that's fiction. It's like kind of post civilization type stuff. Most of the fiction I have, I didn't even buy. I got it from like the free box at McKay's, and it's just like some Star Wars stuff that I like to read for fun sometimes. So yeah, don't discount eBay these days for good books. They're worth it. A lot of the times they're still like they're shipping things media mail, so the shipping usually is free. Because Amazon's not really the place. I mean, of course you can still get books from Amazon, but in terms of getting some of the best prices, I think eBay is better, and some of the stores within eBay. So I'll let you guys dig around on that. Let's see, what have I got coming up this weekend? Me and my buddy Josh are going over to one of my kind of ongoing customers on Saturday, tomorrow, to see about tag teaming some handyman type work, some wintertime work out there. She needs a bridge built. She needs a couple of tool sheds built. She needs, there were 2 or 3 other things, like a little tool closet. One step closer is popping in here. Good to see you there, Jeremy. Thank you for stopping in. So he and I are going to do that, or we're going to get, I'm going to let him take the lead on that, and then he'll let me know how much help he needs, and we'll take it from there. Going to do an open mat on Sunday, as usual. Always get in, 1 open mat per weekend whenever I'm in town. Otherwise, we are in the season of harvesting out the compost. So I had, earlier this week, I've harvested out 3 bins worth. I've got 3 more to empty, because one project that we do have coming up that we're going to do at the end of September is build. We're building a wood shed / compost shed here where my materials drop off place is, kind of here in the upper front yard. I wanted a bigger space to store firewood, so I don't have to take up so much space in the high tunnel for that. And I wanted a big 2-compartment compost setup that'll be under a roof. So I think we are going for about, how did I say it? Maybe a 16 by 20 or something like that. Maybe 16 by 24, whatever makes sense lumber wise. And we've got some friends. They're going to come and help us for that. Mostly we're going to harvest locust off the property for that, for the poles. We're not going to break our backs. We're going to auger in the holes for everything. But I've got friends coming up who are very skilled at building, and most importantly, very good at squaring off a building, which is the hardest thing for me to do, especially where it's not flat. So we both have square and kind of level. So that's not till the end of September. So this site up here that currently has been housing our compost, I'm harvesting out everything that's finished. I've been trucking it to various locations. Like some has gone to the gardens. Some I'm expanding, the upper medicinal garden and the pollinator garden. And then these last few batches, I've just been taking wheelbarrows worth to the closest pasture where the soil just really needs amended, and just dumping it and just leaving it a few inches thick. And that's probably what I'm going to do more of this evening as the sun is going down, is just keep trucking more compost so we can have that site cleared and get to work on that. That'll be nice to have just in time to start throwing the firewood in. Because as it stands, like right now, I only have enough room to keep about a month's worth of firewood dry, and then I have to rotate it in and give that what's newly stashed a chance to dry in the high tunnel, and that'll actually free up quite a bit of space. We'll probably put our lumber rack in there too, so that'll give me much more space in my high tunnel, which is right next to my shop here. Would be just better use of space in general. So I think that's what I've got for you guys tonight. I just thought I would show you about my book problem. I like to be very transparent about my problems, and my problems are buying books. Not junk, not cars, not even really tools. I kind of am out of that mode now. It's books. It's books. So, when we moved to the little home, out of the not so big home, I got rid of a bunch of stuff, but no books. This is kind of my rule. That's why I never want to move again, because I never want to move these books again. So, yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. If I can help you with anything at all, you guys know how to find me. And please listen to my TSP segment. Let me know what you think. Please send questions to Jack if you have questions about foraging or anything kind of adjacent to that, land study, microclimates, things of that nature, where I can kind of roll that into an answer for you. And we'll catch up with you next week. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys later.